really do want this to be interactive, so we can have more people come on the screen. This is the topic today, or in this session, is on alumni programs and how integrating alumni, either your chapter alumni or other HKN alumni in the area, can benefit a chapter. And some of our chapters do an outstanding job at this, others don't, bluntly. We have a current chapter president, a former founding chapter president, an outstanding chapter advisor, and of course our director here to speak to this from a variety of different perspectives. And we'd love to hear more from you all as well in the audience. So please, I'm going to ask you, please be active in the chat. Feel free to use Q&A and feel free to raise your hands. Before we start, I'm going to put a poll in the poll area. To get a sense of where we are. So if you could navigate over to the polls and let us know, does your chapter have an alumni outreach or engagement program? For example, do you send an alumni newsletter? Do you invite alumni to activities or events? Do you have an alumnus that's serving as a chapter officer or an advisor, etc.? So we'll give it another 5 seconds or so. Let folks that haven't yet voted do so. As it stands now, it's with 5 votes in, we're 3-2 yes to no. This year, for anyone here who has filled out an annual report, we put in a new question, or actually a new section on alumni programs. And if you think that the majority of chapters have alumni outreach or alumni engagement programs, you would be mistaken. Of the close to over 100 now activity reports that we've received, 120, 130 something I think it is at this point, I would say less than 15% had any kind of organized alumni program. So that is actually one of the reasons why this session is here, trying to showcase the value and get the juices flowing of ideas for ways that we can all engage with alumni. So with that, let's introduce the panel. If you could, let's start with Nancy, and then we'll go Jamie, Colleen, Abdullah. Just introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And what is your experience with HKN alumni?
Well, thank you, Michael, and thanks to my fellow panelists and to everyone joining us today for this session. We're really excited to be here at the SLC virtual edition, and hope you're enjoying the platform and using it to its fullest extent. So as the director of IEEE at Kappa, it's my full-time job, or full-time plus. So I'm here to help work with the Board of Governors on the strategic direction and actually implement all of the programs of IEEE at Kappa Nu, both at the level of the headquarters level, and then help enable you as chapters and chapter leaders to have the resources and things that you need. But that also means working a lot with our alumni. So again, if you can imagine, we induct about 3,000 students a year at each of your chapters, and that's great. But the biggest part of our group is our alumni, because once you're at a Kappa Nu, I say you're always at a Kappa Nu. So the fun thing too is also reconnecting people, and I do it all the time. People that joined, I joined in 1975 at Purdue. Oh, I joined in 93, at Illinois, at Alpha. So it's really fun to connect with our alumni. So I talk to them quite often in the context of at a Kappa Nu overall and in your chapters. So I love talking to alumni. I love working with you all because you hopefully have reached out to me, which you always can. But I look forward to talking more about how you can work with alumni in your individual chapters and how we can help you from the headquarters perspective.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Davis. I am a senior electrical engineering student at Florida Polytechnic University in Lakeland, Florida. At this time, I'm the founding president. However, this Mu Omega chapter is about to be my alumni chapter because I'm graduating in December. So it's really exciting to put together this new chapter and put together this alumni program, especially since I will be one of them very shortly.
I'm Abdullah. I am the president of the Iota Delta chapter, which is Stevens Institute of Technology. It's in Hoboken, New Jersey. So we've existed since 1980s. So we have quite a bit of alumni, and we find that like OU Analytics is really good, especially like backtracking. Well, before like the internet age. To alumni that we don't really have contact information for.
Hi, I'm Colleen Bailey. I am the chapter advisor for Lambda Zeta at the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas. We have a fairly good relationship with most of our alumni. We're always trying to improve it and make it better. This is going to be our 10-year anniversary this December of our founding. So we're looking to do something to get all those alumni members that we haven't been as close with over the past years to kind of jumpstart that and get it going better. I don't know if I should say anything else now or wait till we go around panel and give more examples of our alumni involvement. I'll leave that up to you, Michael.
No, that's actually a great segue. Colleen, go right ahead.
So some of the ways that Lambda Zeta likes to keep our alumni involved, obviously we want to be focused on our current members and what our current students are interested in and what's good for them. But also keeping good relationships with our alumni is a good networking opportunity. Obviously, all of you who are in HKN are the top of your class, great, strong people, and you get great jobs. So keeping that network open to feed new students into, or as the years go on, good, easy ways to get alumni involved is inviting them to induction, or if you host maybe a resume review, that's something that we do here at Lambda Zeta, and we invite some of our alumni in addition to other members of industry to come and review resumes. And most of our alumni really enjoy doing that. So if that's not something you've tried in the past, it's a really good thing. And if you have any big events, we do a summit every year and we do some STEM outreach programs. And those are also really good to get involved. If you have any specific questions on those, I can go into further detail, but I don't want to take all the time up at the beginning.
That's okay. Thank you. Abdullah, what does your chapter do with your alumni?
So more recently with like Zoom and the pandemic, it's a little harder to get alumni engaged, at least in like a social setting and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a better thing when things were kind of all virtual, whereas just to do like a panelist series. So they could kind of come out and kind of answer general questions, employees, grad school. It's kind of difficult to get like a social camaraderie all virtually. But the positive side was that, you can get people from around the country because alumni move around, generally don't stay around the college. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, Jamie, obviously you have a younger chapter, so kind of a handful of alumni, but have you all thought about how you're going to engage as alumni, right, as the founding class of members now moves off and becomes alumni, right?
Yeah, exactly. You want to put yourself in their shoes because I know that we have alumni that are traveling around the U.S. We have alumni that are just, I'm talking 5 people right now, but they've got the full-time job position. So what I tend to do as of now is I keep them in the loop, and that's in our ways of sending out a calendar invite. Hey, these are the events we've got going on. If you can join us, that'd be great. If not, no worries. And just keeping them in the loop for now. Some stuff that we hope to have are actual events centered around the alumni. Like somebody said, having resume workshops or having panel discussions, just having people maybe come back and talk about their experience in the real world, So all that stuff would be so exciting to have. And I look forward to hearing many more things that we can do with the alumni.
Well, I can tell you at the Beta Epsilon chapter, so in one of my variety of roles is a chapter advisor. And Beta Epsilon at University of Michigan has a large career fair put on by actually Tau Beta Pi and the Society of Women Engineers every fall. And a number of our chapter alumni actually come back as recruiters for the career fair, right? 300 plus companies over a couple days, all that jazz, when it was in person, and fewer now that it's virtual, but hopefully we'll be back in person next year. But the chapter has always hosted for many, 20 some odd years, at least more, as long as the career fair's been going on, an alumni reception right before, during the career fair. So for everyone that's coming back to campus as a recruiter, right, they're invited, as well as their colleagues, right? We want to be warm and welcoming to their whoever else works at Company X, but then also to the current student members of the chapter, plus advisors and whatnot. And it's a really phenomenal thing. The chapter buys appetizers and whatnot, and then they get to mix, mingle, and all that. So again, Beta Epsilon is also an older chapter, right? But at the same point, it even after a couple of years of graduating classes, you'll have the 5 strong and proud at Mu Omega now are going to turn into 50 in very short order. So what I'd like to do is, before we open things up a bit more, is I have another poll question here. This is a fun factoid thing, but relates. How many alumni chapters does HKN have? 0 or none or more? The answer is one of these options. I will tell you that. We currently have 1 vote. It is for 3. Okay, let's give it another 30 seconds. Again, for everyone, if you are on the desktop or laptop version, this is under the session tab on the right. Go to polls. If you're mobile, it's one of the buttons down towards the bottom. Okay. So we have had 7 votes. All right, well, let's give it another 10 seconds or so. All right, so good news. The correct answer has been selected by at least one person. We do not have 0, and nor do we have 1. We have 4. We have the New York area alumni chapter, the Los Angeles alumni chapter, which actually runs our Outstanding Student Award. We have the San Francisco Bay Area alumni chapter. I'm not sure if that's the official name, but basically the Bay Area. And we have our newest, the Southeast Michigan alumni chapter. Now, you might be asking, what the heck is an alumni chapter and what do they do? That's a great question. If you come up with an answer, please let us know. We'd love to figure that out so we can tell them and make more. I kid, but in all seriousness, it is a question that we are looking at. And we have some really phenomenal people. A new committee has formed really to kind of focus in on them, among other things. So we look forward to that. But there are 4 right now. We also have clusters of alumni all over the world, right? So we have HKN alumni at pick a company. We have folks there. And there are, each chapter, for example, we for our chapters in New York and New Jersey, a lot of folks stay in New York. Some go to Chicago, some go to LA. I'm sure, Abdel, if I asked you for your chapter, are there concentrations where your alumni seem to be? You'd probably say yes, right?
Yeah, they're mostly in New York City, so across the river. Yeah.
I mean, it is so close. And Colleen, I'm sure for you as well, the Lambda Zeta, I'm sure there are clusters of your chapter alumni as well. Nancy?
No, I was just recounting because there is a New York alumni chapter. So
Yeah, there is.
you're right. They haven't been really active. I think, if you go back over history, there were a number more alumni chapters over the years. And I've been at Academy 9 years. We've only had one forum since then. But again, we've been redefining the role of the alumni a lot of times, just in terms of your chapters and what they can do to help your chapters. And then overall as a group. So again, we do some things for alumni in general. And then our young alumni group has been working on things. So Jamie, you'll get to join them soon.
Yep.
You'll get to join the Young Alumni Task Force. So, but again, it's it's an interesting term because in Edacapanu, you're all just Edacapanu, right? There really isn't a category called alumni. Alumni, we use to define anybody who's no longer a student. So once you're no longer a student, you're in our world, an alumni, but you don't have to become an alumni member or do anything else other than, make sure we know your contact information. Because once you're at Acapanu, you're always at Acapanu. It's for life.
So, well put. The other thing too, Art asked a question, have we found a way to connect local alumni from other institutions? And I'll just note here that we have 8 Acapanu chapters, and there are IEEE student branches. They are distinct, but certainly encouraged to work together. We have. So as it stands right now, chapter officers and advisors can only see the, if you go into OU Analytics, and we can talk about that in a moment, the alumni for the chapter, right? So Colleen would be able to see Lambda Zeta. If you have a role in the section, then you could see any HKN members in the section area. However, if you're not, we don't want to encourage you to take on more roles because, well, certainly we want you to do whatever you want to do. And if you want to take on a role with an Acapanu, we'd love you to do so. But the staff, our regional governors, members of the board, our student governors, all have access to that information. So, for example, if you want to know Abdullah, let's say all of the 8 Acapanu alumni from any chapter within 10 miles or 5 miles or 20, probably getting a bit lot because that would include the city. Within, let's say, a 10-mile radius, you can reach out to your regional governor. Sylvie Leal is our chapter associate, newest member of the staff. She is quite active in the chat, but might actually have her come on stage if she wants. But Sylvie can definitely help with that. Your regional governor can help. I can help. Nancy, certainly. Stacy, etc. So, yes, email. It looks like info@hkn.org, and we can get that turned around for you pretty quickly. That said, we are certainly working with MGA. That's a part of IEEE to see if there's a way to make it easier for chapter, certainly advisors, if not officers. But that will likely take a little bit, but a great question. And as Sylvie mentioned, please reach out. Great question. So before we open up to general questions related to alumni, I would pose 2 questions. First, to the entire panel. In your experience, either within HKN or other activities, what have you found? Have you found value in alumni engagement? I know that's a very broad question, and it could be not even, say, college or graduate school alumni, right? It could be high school, it could be anything. But what value have you seen or found? And do you think, for your personal chapter, are you leveraging your alumni to the fullest extent? And if so, why or why not?
I'm going to go ahead and start and keep it brief. But
cool.
It's only happened a few times, but we have a little chat for all of our members, and some of the alumni are still part of this chat group. And whenever we'll post little things like, hey, we did this, they'll cheer us on and stuff. And so more or less, it's that feel good, like that they're still rooting us on and that we're continuing to go and move forward.
Awesome. Colleen?
I think there's always a benefit to alumni involvement, no matter, like you said, what level it is, what organization. If for nothing else other than hearing their experiences when they went through the same things, or other ideas like that. It's really helpful, I think, for current, specifically to HKN, having some kind of alumni advisor position or alumni liaison that can fill in, especially if there's, say you have a large officer turnover and you didn't have as much onboarding as you normally do. Having that strong connection to alumni is always a good way to increase that going forward or improve that going forward.
Awesome. Nancy?
Oh, well, Michael, thanks. Well, again, I think alumni are in Ed Academy one of our greatest untapped resources. Right. I think we can do much for our chapters, and you'll see a chapter support initiative, more things coming out that we've been doing. But we journey mapped our alumni, like we journey chapter leaders and members and young alumni. And we've asked them a lot about it. But let me tell you the one thing that's universal when I get to talk to people that have been at Academy at some point in their, that joined whatever point in their life, they're really proud of it. And that induction ritual, that thing is one of the things they tell me about the most. They remember that so much, or they remember the level of engagement. And I haven't met an alumnus that doesn't say, I would like to give back. Ed Academy is all about giving back or paying it forward. So I haven't met anyone who says, oh, gee, I wouldn't want to help students today. Oh, no, I couldn't be bothered with that. Every single person I talk to, and trust me, I talk to a dozen a week. We get a dozen people who reconnect with us out of the blue every week. They want to give back. They want to do something else. It is the nature, it's the DNA of an Ed Academy member. So I think they're our greatest untapped resources, and we're looking at more ways to engage them at the headquarters level so we can help you at the chapter level and connect you with people that are interested and get more volunteers involved in other things. So trust me, this, just like it meant a lot to you when you were inducted, even in the last couple of years, I talked to people who, there's one guy, he's John McDonald, he's going to be on, he has some sessions here. He was inducted in 1971, 50 years ago at Purdue. He's a beta. Couldn't be more proud of it. And I have other alumni posting, hey, I'm 40 years at Academy, I'm this, I'm that. Every president of IEEE has been at Academy, and they wear that pin proudly. So trust me, Ed Academy is about more than just joining an organization. It's more than a transaction. It's very meaningful. And I think if you talk to your alumni, engage them, keep in contact with them, number one, you're going to find so much value. And they want you. They really, it's just like, they're just like you, just with maybe a few more years on their resume. They love giving back. They love being involved, and they really do want to help you.
Absolutely. And the other thing, too, to say is I agree with Nancy 100%. The alumni are our largest untapped resource simply because there's so many of them. And for so long, in talking to alumni, they often say, I was HKN. Well, no, you are HKN. You're HKN for life. But they haven't heard from their chapter or from headquarters or from, anything, because all of us comprise Ada Kappa Nu, right? Overall, headquarters, all the chapters, it's the volunteers, everything. But if we don't reach out, just like with our students, right? You want to make a personal connection. You want to give people ownership. Alumni need to feel some of the similar things. Now, that said, we're a student-run organization in the chapters, right? So alumni shouldn't be running, every officer position. I've seen some chapters that actually have alumni serve as officers. Not all of them, certainly, but maybe one or two positions if the person is so inclined. It's up to the chapter. We have chairs. We have alumni that attend meetings and certainly attend events across the world, right? And these folks are committed, dedicated to the chapter and to really the success of Ada Kappa Nu in their local community. So I would encourage everyone here, particularly the advisors, fellow advisors that we have here, I really challenge each of you, find a way to prioritize your alumni and engage with them in a new way. And to our chapter officers, same thing. The reason I started with our advisors, though, is they're generally in office longer, right? So if an alumnus says, hey, I'm really busy, can't do it now, check back with me in 6 months or a year, in all likelihood, the advisor will still be the advisor. It's depending on where in the year it is, or in a year or two, You may or may not be in office, but the advisor is likely to still be there. So, take it. Advisors are that institutional repository as well, right? So, definitely something that we're looking to promote and push as we move forward. I should note, Sylvie has done a phenomenal job, and we're almost ready to release a new set of resources for advisors, the advisor handbook, timeline, all of that jazz. Certainly for advisors here, definitely take a look at it. But I'd also say too, for our chapter leaders, take a look, right? We recommend to our advisors to look at the job descriptions for the various officers. It makes sense to do the same for the advisors too, because again, the more you know about what everyone else is doing, the better you can support each other, and together we make HKN go. With that, let's open it up. Are there any questions or comments insofar as successes that folks have had with alumni programs in their chapters or otherwise? Please feel free to post in the chat or request to share your screen if you would like to join us on stage and share a thought or ask a question.
While we're waiting on someone to join or ask, one other thing that Nancy's comment maybe reminded me of is the importance of involving your alumni in inductions. Because going through that ritual and seeing again, I mean, I get goosebumps every time I go through it, even as a chapter advisor. But it's really great. It reminds your alumni why we are HKN and what a great organization it is. It's great for those getting inducted, but also for anyone who's there watching and reminds you why you're proud to be HKN.
Colleen, it's a great point, because especially in this virtual time, right, when we're having virtual inductions, it's easy to invite them. And it will, Michael and I, how many times a month do we go to a chapter induction or run one?
Right.
I mean, but I get the same, I do get a thrill every time. And I promise you, your alumni will enjoy that. So especially while you're virtual, boy, it's easy to invite people, but they're going to love, not everybody's going to come. You're going to get a few here and a few there, but they'll start to come and they'll enjoy it. They really I've done that. And alumni panels, especially in the virtual world, and I've seen more and more chapters do this, and we've been encouraging this, is just to reach out to 3 or 4 alum and put on a virtual panel. I've been to a lot of these as well, and have been encouraging chapters to do them, but just finding some alumni that will come and talk about their career, their experiences, what it was like at the chapter when they were there, something else, a technology. It's so easy for them to jump on a Zoom call with you and be part of your chapter programming. It's one of the easiest things to do right now, and we can easily find people to do that. Yeah.
Even when you go back to in person, with the advances that we've made in all of our virtualness, you can keep hybrid. Throw a webcam up at your in-person induction, invite your alumni to come be a part of it. And do whatever you can.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a matter of connecting them at the right time with the right opportunity, and you'll get people, I promise you.
Absolutely. One thing to keep in mind is oftentimes I talk to chapters that are looking to start some sort of alumni outreach because they want money, right? They want to do something and they're looking for financial resources from alumni, and that's okay. But as a pro tip, don't make the first time you talk to someone and ask for money, right? Engage with them, get them, introduce them to members of the chapter. Wait a few weeks or ideally a few months. Really,
let's excited about what you're doing. I mean, again, they really need to hear your story as a chapter. They really need to know. They probably understand that you need, the finances are needed, but in all cases, telling people why they're needed. What is your vision for the chapter as a chapter advisor, as a leader? What's your vision? What are you trying to accomplish? Do you need funds to help students induct that can't afford it because you're reaching out to more diverse populations? Do you need to put on programs in the community? What is it that you need to be doing as a chapter? Share your vision with them, and people will invest with you as well. But again, it's really about you sharing your vision. And that's part of that planning part. But yeah, you're right, Michael. If you went to Michael's other session about great leaders, you start with the why. Yep. And telling your chapter story. Now, when you do your Founders Day event, we're going to ask to tell your chapter story in a video and share it with us. And you're going to get incentivized by us or prizes for doing that. But what a great thing to send to your alumni, right? You know, when you're recording your chapter story to submit and do Founders Day, again, if you haven't ordered your kit, if you're not planning an event, you're missing a great opportunity. We're going to send you the swag for free and whatever. But that video you're going to create to put in, you know, for us and put in the contest is also another step you can send out to your alumni to talk about what you're doing today. It'll be fun, or maybe even involve them. If you can get, I mean, Jamie, you're a founding member, so it's easier, but even 10 years ago, you might be able to find Colleen, you might be able to find the chapter president back then, and the advisor then, and get them involved. I get, like I said, they're just going to love to be involved. Oh, good, Beatrice, you've ordered your kit, good.
Yep. So we have about 15, 18 minutes left in the session. So I really do want to, you know, this is a good conversation and keep it going, right? So I would say for our attendees, if you have questions or thoughts, definitely please put them in the chat or request to share your audio and video, and let's get that, you know, get you on screen. Apparently Sylvie is packaging the kit up as she types. So looks like you're going to get that pretty darn soon. I've pinned one of Sylvie's comments about this year's Founders Day theme being our HKN story with that link. So please definitely check that out. If you're not a chapter officer or an advisor, it's really for everybody. We often, you know, from the headquarters side, we communicate principally with the chapter officers. They're the people and advisors, of course, elected to represent the chapter. And I know, Nancy, we send, what, about 4 or 5 emails to all students and actually all members as well a year, maybe a little bit more. But you don't, I really strongly believe you don't need a title to make a difference, right? I'm cycling off the board after this year. I'm completing a 3-year term as regional governor. I was a 2-year student governor before that. We'll see what the future holds, but I have every intention of staying involved and doing things. So, Jamie, I saw that reaction. Thank you. But I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry. You know, you don't need a title to make a difference, right? If you have good ideas and are willing to work with others, the sky's the limit. And that's true for all alumni. Now, not everyone has time for whatever reason. That's okay. But we can find a way. IEEE had a program a few years back, which I wasn't a huge fan of the name. It was micro-volunteering. I think that kind of diminishes to an extent what some of the jobs or roles could be. But not everything is running a conference like this. Not everything is, you know, standing by a switch and when someone tells you push the button, right? Something as simple as that, for example, although I probably have trouble with that. But you know, the opportunities to get involved could be anywhere in between those. So, you know, if you're a chapter officer and advisor, think about things that you might like beyond just asking for money. But, you know, certainly having someone come to a chapter meeting to present, you know, mentoring a student. Also, too, there's no reason that our alumni can't and shouldn't be involved in our service activities. As a side, please, if they do that, they count. So count their time in the HKN hours for the activity report. But that's for another day. But seriously, invite them back. If your campus has a homecoming, there's no reason the chapter shouldn't be a part of that. Have some sort of a activity, social activity, service activity, both. If your chapter if the school has a decent athletic program of any type, right? Maybe you have an outstanding women's swim team or gymnastics or football or whatever. Go to a game, invite the alumni, show some school spirit, and show some HKN spirit at the same time. And remember that alumni, whether they're, you know, a day out of school or 50 years out of school, the experience is different, but they care. And Nancy's right. Take a photo and please share it with us, include it in the activity report, post on social media, what have you. But alumni really are an untapped resource, and we're going to keep coming out with resources and pamphlets and things to help everyone reach out to them, as well as the contact info. But please, we can't do it, right? So Nancy can email every alumnus member, and she does, and the return rate is what you.
Good. Oh, our open rate's really good. Our alums, we do an alumni newsletter quarterly. Our open rate's really strong on that. And, we send the bridge to everyone. And like Michael said in another session, we're the #2 most downloaded magazine on the IEEE app after Spectrum. So of all the publications, and IEEE has hundreds, Kappa News #2. So, again, that speaks to what people want to hear from us. What we do even in the IEEE world is so uniquely different from what everybody else does. And again, nobody else has this definition that once you're at a Kappa Nu, you're always at a Kappa Nu. We're a lifetime designation. So again, we have something really special. Again, there's so much, Michael, you have a secret sauce, and we're talking so much about what's special about Eta Kappa Nu, and there really is so much. The induction ritual says most of it, and you guys are what's special. What you do, who you are, your DNA, what makes you pay it forward or give back or whatever is what makes it special. And that's who we are. So again, alumni and the lifetime engagement is what makes us so fundamentally different, and in a very important way, in a very impactful way to the rest of the organization. So, again, it's a superpower, if you would. Michael, you got to put my superpower poll on the main chat thing. It's a superpower.
We got to say it's really good.
It's a superpower, and I really, I can't encourage you enough to use it. And Michael, you mentioned OU Analytics, and so did you, Abdullah. So again, I don't know how much time we have. I just didn't want to slip by without letting you know that power to find them is at your fingertips as a chapter officer. You've got to be reported, have to be a member, all those kind of things. But the powers of finding them is at your fingertips.
So now, and Nancy, that's a really good point. Now that we're in the SLC, we'll be launching our HKN Learns platform in the first module this week before the Saturday closing day. That is actually for those that were in the nuts and bolts session earlier today, you saw a piece of it, but it basically step-by-step instructions on how to use OU Analytics, how to access it, and the power of being able to get a copy of your alumni roster, your student roster, including induction dates, right? So if you want to find, let's say a member of the faculty is retiring, right? And you want to find people from over the course of that person's tenure, you can do so. That, likely knew the individual and can speak well of her or him. Sylvie posted in the chat, thank you, Sylvie, the direct link to OU Analytics. If that's too much to remember, just do that, and it'll take you right to it.
Thanks,
so,
Mike.
But again, also this will be available on hkn.org. You'll get an email about it this week, and it's something that advisors and officers can all use, assuming they're reported. Questions or comments from either anyone in the audience or anyone else on the panel too? So Abdullah, I'm going to ask you a question as our sitting chapter president on this panel. You have 30 years of alumni. Have you noticed any kind of a trend insofar as if one alum starts to engage with the chapter, that others from the same time period might also engage?
So I found, it is quite difficult to get older alumni involved. And so that's still something that I'm still trying to work on. But I think it's you shouldn't discount younger alumni, recent graduates, because a lot of times they go to the same companies that a lot of the older alumni are at. Maybe their boss was the same chapter graduate, and so I found that recent graduates are very responsive the past 1, 2, 3 years. They're still very involved in the community, still generally around here. And then they have contacts that are older, and that's generally how the career fair gets people. And that's why I wanted to work with them to try to get more of them to come to our chapter. And then I think one of the other things is that a lot of the very recent graduates last year and the year before were inducted virtually. So I think inviting them back into a physical induction so they kind of experience it, I think is also a very good thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, that signature book, right? If they come back, make sure they sign your signature book. I know if you're an older chapter, Colleen, you've got a signature book with 30 years of inductions in it, right? It's kind of cool when people come back and look at it. It's, it's a favorite thing to do when I go to chapters. Jamie, you'll feel the same way in a couple of years, I promise.
Something you want to say, Jamie? I saw you, like a light bulb just went off.
Just yeah, it's so true. Yeah, the signature book, huge. Trying to get everyone to sign it. I've been bringing it to meets, and we'll have someone show up. I'm like, here, like this is yours just as much as it's mine. It's the alumni, it's the members, it's the executive board, it's our signature book, and I look forward to seeing it in a decade.
Yeah, it's something special we have, right? Again, talk about something special that we have that other groups don't have. The signature book is one of those things, and for like Colleen, as you celebrate an anniversary, and I know others are coming up on 10 years or whatever, and some are 100. The signature books are one of those super cool factors of HKN. Definitely.
So we have an interesting question. I think this actually helps put a bow on this to an extent from excuse me, Christopher Sanderson, a member of the board. He's asking, why is HKN important to IEEE and IEEE sections in particular? And for those that don't know, up until about 11 years ago, IEEE and Eta Kappa Nu were separate organizations. But we merged back in 2010, and there was significant reason to do that on both sides, right? So now the question is, what value does HKN bring to IEEE section? Well, let me ask you, everyone, this the same way. Who are the members of the IEEE student branch? Can you be a member of the IEEE student branch without paying, becoming an IEEE member? Yes, you can. For the most part, many allow that. Can you become a member of an HKN chapter without becoming an IEEE member? No, you can't, right? Because for students, the IEEE membership is included as part of your induction. So for IEEE sections, and I want to open this up to the other members of the panel as well to expand on this. HKN chapters, not only, as Nancy said, we have a purpose, right? Our commitment to service and the ideals of the society, which are articulated in our ritual, but we also, all of our members are IEEE, and we are actively bringing people in. But let's open that up to other panels as well. Nancy, Colleen, Jamie, Abdullah.
So I guess I have a slightly more unique perspective than maybe some others because I am heavily involved in the Fort Worth section executive committee. And in Fort Worth, at least, we try to get the student branches involved even in those section meetings and getting involved with the section at that young age. And a lot of our, as you move up through the section, through all the levels of MGA, I've noticed that a lot of the higher or more involved members are Eta Kappa Nu. I think there is something that sets apart Eta Kappa Nu members. That there's a reason that you're in HKN to start with, and that sense of whatever makes us all tick in HKN, I think pushes you to be involved. So making a strong connection with those student members of HKN and then keeping them involved in your sections as you go on, I think is a good growth technique for IEEE sections overall.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I really have a perspective. Eta Kappa Nu is a student program. Your chapters are a student program of IEEE. So you are IEEE as much as anybody else. Everybody is part of the student branch just by de facto, the fact that you joined, whether you participate or not in the student branch. And like Michael said, some people are part of the student branch and they never joined IEEE. But the section should be really interested in you. Let's put it this way. You are a very active part of IEEE, and the section should be supporting you. They should be interested in you. They should know about you. So on IEEE.org, there's something called the roster, and you can access that as a member, and you can look up who your section is and your section leaders, all the contact information there. I can put it in the chat. But that section should be interested in you. And when you need funding, that section is funding the student branch. You can also ask them for funding. Some will fund you directly every year. Some might ask you for, if you're doing a project, which you need money for, make a proposal. But if you're not connecting with your IEEE chapter and asking them for their support, and maybe even going to their things or volunteering to be, saying you'll be the volunteers that will help them with their service outreach, you're missing a huge opportunity. Because again, it's not just what sections can do for us; it's what we can do for sections. And I agree with you, Colleen. I run into leaders all the time, and they're EDICAPNU. Every president of IEEE, EDICAPNU. Region directors out the channel, EDICAPNU. Christopher Sanderson, inducted Prairie View as a student, EDICAPNU. So, don't miss this opportunity to go and, attach to those resources that are available to you. We're also talking about in the technical societies, and there's more to talk about there. So anybody who wants to talk about this, I'd love to help you, want to connect you with your section, your region. They really need you. Trust me, they're hungry for students. They're hungry for the kind of involvement that defines EDICAPNU. So please reach out to them. They should be helping you as well.
And as Christopher said, I think this is a good way to kind of tie this all together. What we all can do together is EDICAPNU and IEEE more broadly is make the world better. We're engineers, right? That's kind of what we try to do, and ideally succeed at. So again, the focus here was our alumni. Remember that we are a part of the IEEE, and Nancy's absolutely right, and Colleen's absolutely right. The sections, the regions, other organizational units within the IEEE care about HKN and want you as chapters, chapter leaders, chapter advisors to be engaged, right? The fact that we have a mission, that our values and all that, which are the IEEE's values, and then we take it a little bit further, really does set us apart in a way as compared to other entities within the IEEE, no better, no worse, but in a way that the level of engagement and affinity that our members have, student members in particular, for their home chapter is really unparalleled. And the level of activity, I can tell you right now, since January 1st of this year, we're about 40,000 hours of EDICAPNU activity. And that's still being reported, right? So a lot of folks haven't reported that, their activity yet. Shameless plug, please report your activity within 2 weeks of it. But that aside, 40,000 hours, and that's light. So we are doing so much in so many communities around the globe. IEEE is proud of us. We should be proud of IEEE, and we can work together. And our alumni, whether they're involved in the IEEE or not, are a resource as well. So this session kind of took a forked path, but that's really good because both through the IEEE and then otherwise, these are resources available to the chapter, to you as an advisor, as future alumni, and we just strongly encourage you to take advantage of it, and definitely please reach out to any of us if you have questions, comments, concerns. With that, we're a bit over, so I'd say let's thank the panel and give them all, anyone, if you have any final comments to add on this topic, take up to 30 seconds, and we'll close it out. So, Jamie, you want to go first?
I can say that as opposed to other societies, I feel that yes, this is only the beginning of a great time and plenty of opportunity here with the EDICAPNU Honor Society.
Abdullah?
Yeah, I would just add, just keep track of your alumni, like have like a database, even for just your recent alumni, because the ones that are on OU Analytics, which is great, sometimes people just don't keep their IEEE membership and then it kind of drops. So it's at least when you have like a Google spreadsheet or something of recent alumni, it also really helps with recent graduates.
Colleen?
Don't know that I have anything in particular to add over everyone else. Just reinforcing keeping that contact database. It's so easy when you still know all the people, they're recent alumni, you went to school with them, you already have their contact information. It just takes a couple years though for that to spread out further. Lambda Zeta is still pretty young at 10 years, and we only know really our alumni for the last 2 or 3 years really, really well. So keeping that database and keeping that going forward will help future iterations of leaders.
Yeah, and Colleen, I couldn't agree with you more. I put it in earlier, so it's the contact information, right? So, we have over 200,000 people ever inducted at Kapanu. We have about 40,000 emails. So, we've been making a great effort as you're graduating, like Jamie coming up, or as your students are leaving campus, to get them to update their contact information. Now, they don't have to maintain their IEEE membership, or we encourage them to, but they don't have to. At a Kapanu alumni or at a Kapanu alumni, but a valid email, not your school email, which might expire, is really critical to have. So, like I said, we do a lot to reach out and connect with alumni, but getting that information, getting your students to report that before they go away, giving us an email, updating their IEEE on IEEE.org, updating that information will really make sure we can all stay in touch, and that OU Analytics has the right information, right? We all know what data is, right? Good data in, good data out.
Absolutely. And I will just note again, and I think Bernie, a phenomenal comment there in the chat. Building on a previous session, do you spend enough time talking on why IEEE at Kapanu? IEEE has a great tag, Advancing Technology for Humanity, right? Maybe that's something we all should think about. But that said, on that thought-provoking comment, and a very good one, I would just say we now actually have, oh yeah, Nancy, good point. Put IEEE-HKN in your LinkedIn profile, please, and other social media platforms as well, but certainly LinkedIn. We actually have a short break in the session, in the schedule. Yeah, so you get about 15 minutes, so take a bio break, stretch your legs, do whatever you want, go check out the expo, the booths, look at our sponsors.
Yeah, somebody told me they're giving away swag, so go find out who that is. Right?
Swag.
I heard about swag in one
again,
of those.
There's the gamification, so you can get some points for doing that. Whatever you choose to do. But we have, excuse me, a single session coming up at 3:35 to 4:25. Community building, recruiting, and growing your chapter. A few of the folks here will be on a panel discussion there. It is going to be awesome. So I highly recommend it. And then as we close out the first day, we have another bit of chapter exchange networking. So I hope you all had fun in the earlier networking. You can meet different people. And then we have 5 to 6, a grad lounge for grad students and those that are interested. And then 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern is HKN Trivia hosted by the Beta Delta chapter. So that's our first day of this virtual student leadership conference. It's flown by.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right. I hope you've all thus far had a great time, as I have. I know I've learned a lot, and there's more to go. But I would also say too, please come back tomorrow, obviously, and come back next Saturday as well, as really we're just getting started, and we're going to tie this all together and do some really great things together. So with that.
Well, awesome job, Michael, and thank you, panel. Really, again, people that volunteer are outstanding people. So thank you for all being outstanding. You're
here, taking it back actually to another prior session. Thank you. Seriously, your service on this panel has been tremendous, and I hope for our audience, you've learned as much as I have. I think the various viewpoints that were represented here, and just kind of how we all spoke about truly one of the greatest untapped resources for HKN and ways to attack it and conquer it really was impactful for me. So with that, enjoy the next 20 minutes, and we look forward to seeing you all in the next session. Take care, everyone.